Okay, today we are taking the radiator, replacing the radiator in a 1999 Chevy Blazer. Going to be the same as a Jimmy, and several of the year models will be the same, but pretty simple it looks like. We'll see how that turns into a lie or not. Down at the bottom you've got that drain valve there. If you just wiggle it around, I used a pair of pliers, just wiggle it around a little bit and then pull it out. And it'll do that. If you just pull it out a little bit, I don't know if you can see it down there, there's a hose that comes off the back of it. The hose will just drain out. I got tired of waiting for it, so I pulled the whole thing out. So that's draining. While that's draining, I pulled this hose off. Pretty easy. It's an 18 millimeter. And then the one over here, also pulled this hose off, just set it up out of the way there. So this hose came off of here. I just clamped this together with a pair of channel locks and pulled the whole thing off. This hose here is larger than an 18. It's probably about a 24. I'm using a crescent wrench. It's coming off just fine. It's not hard to pull off. It's almost completely out of the way. So as we get into it, we're gonna have to pull that off. Again, we're gonna do a crescent wrench on that, and then this one down here looks like another 18, and then we'll have to get that hose out of the way as well. Looks like it's almost done draining. I ordered a new radiator, came in from carparts.com. Looks to be exactly the same. The problem with this particular radiator is right back here. You can see the crack. See it right there in the plastic dam here, or on the plastic well. Don't think that's a good idea to try to fix, but you probably could with the new plastic welding techniques that are out. But just as well, the radiator was only about 85 bucks for the same one. You can get a full aluminum one for not a whole bunch more money. If this is going to be a main car for you, then that might be something of interest for you. Anyway, we'll get into getting the rest of this thing off and out of here and keep you posted as it goes. Okay, so you can see here we have the radiator out. The oil ports, the oil coolant ports, you just got to be a little careful of. If you notice I'm spilling a little oil on the floor, we'll get that cleaned up. And then of course you need a catch basin for your coolant. I failed to mention that while you were pulling it off, but you know, before you pull it off, put something underneath it so you can recover that and keep it out of the drains, etc., and then dispose of it the proper way. So easy stuff. All I did was I used a crescent wrench on this one here and that one down there, that one down there, and it was easy to get off. All of them came off pretty quick. You just have to be careful because these are just aluminum ports and stuff. So no 8 men grabbing hold of it and trying to yank it off. Get some anti-seize or whatever on there so you can pull it off quick, and then get some liquid wrench so you can get those soaking and get them off easy. We'll get the new one in here shortly after we get this all cleaned out and cleaned up. Something to note is the only thing holding the radiator in are the hoses and all of that, and I'm gonna have to go with that's why this thing cracked. That's really not a good design. However, it's what it is. If there's a way to strap it down better that I find, I will let you know before I get it all put back together. So here's that, again, a 99 Blazer, and again it's going to be the same as a Jimmy and some of the other stuff you guys are familiar with. Okay, we got the radiator out, as I mentioned. Here's our crack. Check this out, guys. This goes from here down to here, and it's right on where that hose connects, so it's all that jiggling around. Like I said, not a great design for that thing to be not tied down, but you can see how bad it cracked. It was pouring out pretty good from up here and draining out from here when it got hot. It stayed fairly cool for the most part, but it would run over pretty bad. Again, you guys might want to go with the aluminum design on this. I did not do that myself, but for a few extra bucks you could do that, and this wouldn't be as big of a problem if this was going to be a car you were going to use for a long time. Anyway, all right, just wanted to show that and make sure that you got a good look at that big long crack right here. So there's that.
What'd it do?
Okay, you get your new radiator out of the box. Make sure all of your ports are the same as your old one. And should be good to go. And then putting it in is just a reverse process, obviously, is to make sure everything's hooked up correctly. You're not cross-threading anything. And all should be well, so to speak. Alright, there are radiator feet here and here. Just make sure that those are in place, or pull them off the old radiator here and here and stick them back on before you put that back in. Just want to make sure that those are in place, and then you should be about set to put this thing back in place. Okay, this came with new fittings, as you can see here, down there, and then on this side as well. I've taken those out. I don't want to put new fittings on. I'm just going to use the old ones. If you wanted to, you'd probably need a flange or a flare fitting tool. I have that, but I'm just not interested in redoing these tubes. So if you want to, if there's a need, so if these are broken, you're going to need a flare fitting at least, it looks like. Okay, then you just slide this back in. It's got a couple little channels here, there. Make sure those feet get in, set in, and then just reverse the process, screw everything in, put your hoses back on, and fill it up. Really, so far, pretty easy, other than the shrouds. The top shroud, of course, pretty easy to get off. The bottom shroud, had to pull up and around with the fan here. That's the way I found to do it. There was too much below for me to pull it out that way. Anyway, good luck doing that. Okay, we have everything installed as far as I know at the moment. Have a quick look for leaks. I'm gonna let this run for a little while. Of course, we filled it up with antifreeze. And just let it run for a few minutes, check for leaks. Get your shrouds back on there, watch that fan and belt. If you're checking it like I am. And it looks like we're pretty well good to go. Okay, everything's put back together. We've got our shrouds on. And checked for leaks a couple of times. Haven't seen anything coming out yet. Our coolant levels are good here. And as far as I know, all is well. Like I said, we took it for a drive. I had the AC up high and shut it off for a few minutes, and it looks like our heat indicator is about where it ought to be. So that looks like the deal is done. And there's how to change a radiator in a '99 Chevy Blazer.